So in the spirit of the show, this is just two friends catching up at a conference and letting you eavesdrop in on that conversation.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your no-fluff guide to artificial intelligence in higher ed. I'm Mallory Willsea, bringing nearly 20 years of edtech and marketing expertise straight to your earbuds. Higher ed leaders are expected to master AI overnight, but let's be real, no one has time to sift through every headline, hot take, or research report. That's why every Monday, I'll break down what actually matters, fast, clear, and to the point. Want to sound like the smartest person in the room at your next team meeting? You're in the right place. Let's dive in. Hey friends, you're about to hear my catch-up episode with Seth Odell, and I just want to give you a heads up. The audio quality is a little rough. We recorded live from a conference lobby, and Seth had so many incredible things to say. The conversation was just too good not to share. So thanks in advance for forgiving the audio issues, and there's a really fun surprise if you make it all the way to the end. Thank you for hanging in there with us. Now let's get to the show. Welcome back to Higher Ed Pulse. On today's episode, the Pulse comes full circle. Seth Odell, founder and CEO of Canahoma, returns. We're sitting in the lobby of the Lowe's Hotel in Hollywood, catching up on life, Canahoma, and how Seth is integrating AI in smarter, more sustainable ways, both for his clients and his team. Seth, welcome back. It's been 13 episodes since we shared a mic, and I have missed you.
Mallory, it is so awesome to be here. Thank you for having me back. I have missed sharing this seat with you and being a co-host on the show, and I'm excited to be here today.
Now, full disclosure for listeners, Seth and I have not really caught up off mic these past few months. So when we finally found ourselves together at this Case conference in actually not so sunny LA, it's June gloom, but we'll let that slide. Seth and I just figured, hey, why not hit record and catch up on air? So in the spirit of the show, this is just two friends catching up at a conference and letting you eavesdrop in on that conversation. So Seth, tell me, what has been keeping you busy lately since you handed the mic off?
Oh man, it has been a lot. So I think I shared it, but I can't recall if I did before I left. My wife is pregnant, so Lauren's having a baby. We're having a boy in October, so it's her second child. That's been awesome. But on the personal front, we're building a home office in the garage. We're moving a lot around to make room and space. So personally, it's been a lot. And then professionally, it's just been, busy season for everybody. Most of us fiscal years for colleges end at the end of June. And so we've been dealing with sprints of clients trying to squeeze in projects, finalize budgets for next year, and onboard a couple new partners. It's been a lot. It's been a really, really busy spring, kind of a slower winter. In the last couple months has been nutty. So it's been a lot. How about you?
Well, I haven't been sponsoring any mechanical bulls lately, but I saw on LinkedIn that you were. No, I mean, I'm doing great. Listeners know that. They don't care about me, Seth. We're here for you today. Can you tell us more about this mechanical bull, though, really?
Yeah, so I was at the MACAP conference last week, which is the National Association of Christian College Admissions Professionals. Great group. Canahoma did sponsor a mechanical bull. All credit goes out to Molly and the amazing organizers there for having us, inviting us. Facilitating all of that is all their idea. We just were happy to be proud sponsors. So we sponsored the Mechanical Bull, got me to Texas, and saw an old friend of ours, Brad J. Ward, which was great to catch up. Busy conference season. From Matt last week to this together, you and I at Case this week. Next week I'm traveling. Canahoma has our spring team retreat. We're going to be in Boston. So brought the whole company to Boston. Got us a nice little space at Fenway on Tuesday night for a Red Sox game. And then I think I have another conference the week after that back up here in LA. So it's definitely a busy season all around for sure. But the Bull takes it. It was my first sponsoring the Mechanical Bull.
After such a busy May for so many campus-based professionals, I feel like it's so nice that June becomes a little bit of a more conference-y month. You get to get out there, see some pals in the industry, learn something. Speaking of learning something, like there's been so much happening with AI lately, and I know that over the time where we were co-hosting, we had so many conversations around how quickly AI is moving, and I was always very impressed with how you were integrating it into your business and with your clients. And so I'm curious, even just in the last 2 or 3 months, what's new around AI for you? How are your client conversations around AI changing right now? And are you still feeling, and you've been at all these conferences lately, like, are you still feeling like word on the street is what's safe, or are institutions starting to get more strategic?
That is a great question. I would say on the institution side, I feel like institutions are starting to get more curious. And that still is kind of nascent and early, but they're much more truly curious. I've had, in the past just 2 months, I've probably made almost a dozen introductions for folks that want to talk to like AI admissions companies and start to understand what kind of outreach is being done by AI, which is happening today. There are schools using AI reps, and that's a thing. I've had 2 partners ask me about how we're leveraging AI as an agency and actually wanting to like get under the hood and learn about it. And I've had probably 2 or 3 partners share like their concern / interest in figuring out how to incorporate AI into their own organization. So it's a very like actionable topic. From an industry perspective, for sure. From the Oklahoma side, I can touch it a little bit. We chatted earlier, building an AI-enabled agency was a focus of mine for 2025. And it's been sort of in 3 tranches: education, augmentation, and supplementation. Education, just like, are we learning about the tools? Augmentation, can we like augment the things we're currently doing? And then supplementation, like, can we actually do something different and supplement what we're doing with an alternate solution? We've made a lot of progress. I've also spent a decent amount of money. In full transparency, I'll spend 6 figures on AI enablement this year across the business because we're at 40 full-time employees, to give people an idea of like kind of a roughly the investment. Brought in an AI implementer. We did a 2-day AI workshop, which is really good. Broke out and did all sorts of working sessions with different groups. Upgraded the whole company to ChatGPT teams, so we're like on a larger account. I wish it could be an enterprise, which need 150 employees. But we're all using ChatGPT. We got a Slack channel for AI. We're all sharing what we're doing. At our team retreat next week, we're doing an AI showcase where team members are basically doing little TED Talks showing what they're doing. And we've made some pretty good progress. Most of the progress, transparently, has been more on the like, how do you work faster side of things. So it's like, utilizing ChatGPT to improve meeting notes and recaps. And our accounts team does it as a great tip for anyone listening. You put any client presentation that you have in ChatGPT before you give it, and you said, if you were the client and you were upset, what would frustrate you about this presentation? And it like just lets you know, like, it just immediately is like, oh, these are the 2 or 3 like red button issues to get ahead of. Super easy. We do that every day now across our business. We built a custom GPT to help us with program viability analysis. A component of it, not all of it. We've been chasing and trying to do these like larger AI initiatives. One is like completely turning all our client reporting done and through AI. Those larger ones are not successful yet. And I'm realizing that like, if you want to outsource to AI, it's not always there, and it's clunky, and sometimes it's harder to solve for. What's very easy is like having a subcontractor that's AI. So with a component of a job. So in that program viability, we can't say, people pay us to tell them if they should launch programs, to look at how successful the program might be, understand the academic considerations, the market demand, the employer demand. There's not like an easy button to click and have that done by AI. But when you map your workflow, which is what we've done with the company, is we've asked people to like map out your workflow for projects. There may be 2, 3, or 4 places within that workflow where something that you do AI can do better. And in some cases, we have one on our SEO side where we're saving like 20 hours on one component of a project, which if you run a business like I do, like that's real money. That's like a real overhead and cost with that. And so, we are like very much midstream, but the part that makes you go excited today, catching up with you, is our whole company is bullish now. And everybody is in the weeds and thinking about this and leveraging this and using it in a way where literally 6 months ago, I feel like everyone was like, yeah, I know I should be thinking about AI. And now it's like everyone's already using it. And yeah, maybe we're using it still 101, like mostly ChatGPT related stuff. But we're using it. We're thinking differently. We're evaluating a lot of tools. I just yesterday had a conversation with my head of video production and my producer about wanting to run our first AI-only production campaign. And it's like, how do we pilot this and prove that we can do a production without ever traveling, which, as someone like you who owns a production company, is scared. It's like, cool, their team's bringing that to me. Like, I didn't ask them that. They set up a meeting with me and were like, we think you need to get ahead of this. So that to me is the biggest one, is like culturally. I don't know that our clients are there yet. Our clients feel like they're 6 months back from where we were, which was like they're just realizing they need to lean into this, versus we've leaned in and we're kind of like a snowball rolling down for them. So I know that was a lot, but that's kind of where we're at and where I'd start unpacking.
It may have only been 13 episodes, but Seth, I straight up forgot about how much you pack into about 3 minutes of talking. There's a couple things I want to go back on, but one of the things I want to point out is, and congratulate you on, is that mindset shift within the people at Canopema, because that takes some intentionality, I'm sure, on your part. You mentioned the trainings you've done, the resources you've provided, the tools you've given. Like, you have to mindfully do all of those things and keep investing in those things in order to keep that mindset shift so that people aren't afraid of AI. They're looking to embrace it. And I think in just a couple minutes, you kind of packed in like how to do that. And so I really appreciate that. But along those lines, like the big talk of the AI world lately has been, thanks to Anthropic's CEO, I think, coming out and talking to Axios, like, as well as some executives from LinkedIn, like, everyone is indicating that entry-level jobs are going to vanish. The question is how quickly, and there are, predictions that it'll be 50% or more of jobs within just years from now, right? So what are crises for anyone who's going into college at the moment, the class of 2025 and 26 who are going to be graduating into this world where entry-level positions might literally not exist because of AI. And you are scaling your company. You mentioned just a few minutes ago, like, you have 40 employees now, right? You just last week you posted on LinkedIn that you're scaling, and you gave some great tips for folks on how to do that. So if entry-level jobs are vanishing, but you're still running a company, you still need to scale your company and sustain it, whether it's on the upside or client delivery or creative, how are you thinking about all of this? Like, do you think we're heading towards a crisis or something else?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as an employer, I will say on the broadest scale, I'm super concerned. When I think about 5 to 10 years from now, or I think about my daughter and what's going to be like in 14 years when she's in the workforce after high school, or heading into college, I'm super worried. I think it's going to look extremely different. In the near term, I'm not worried at all. And what's hard is figuring out where's the bridge between the two of those things. And the reason I'm not worried at all in the near term, to me, is that when it comes to AI, someone's going to have to implement everything. And so even though it's a certain type of role that's disappearing, to me, it's roles primarily that can obviously be done primarily online. We haven't quite crossed over AI into the physical world too much outside of humanoid robots and figured AI and some of that stuff. It's crazy. But that's not here totally yet. So for most of us, it's are there repeatable tasks and standard operating procedures where a role is doing the same thing all day, every day, primarily on a computer? I've had those roles early in my career. I do think that we're going to see that will pretty quickly disappear. But somebody also has to implement the AI solution and be responsible for that. And so I was speaking at a college marketing class last month, and the kid wanted to ask for career advice. And I said, the number one thing you can do as a college student right now is become an absolute expert in AI. I said, because there are so many companies out there right now that do not know how to do it. And it reminded me a little bit of the beginning of our careers. I was listening to Mallory, both of us started working at traditional colleges as entry-level roles, and really in social media primarily. And because no one else knew how to do it, we were quickly this in-house expert that gave us disproportionate leverage, even though we were young. And the same opportunity exists today, which is if you can get to the front of this and ride it like a wave, you can help organizations unlock value. So the biggest lesson is you can't sit back and wait and do nothing. I do think at a macro view, I'm a believer that the jobs will show up in other places. And so it'll still exist in different ways, but this is a massive disruption. And this is bigger than the creation of the internet. And this is bigger than a digital age, but it's very similar in that sense. For those of us in higher ed, I think our world's going to move a little bit slower, but it's still going to come. And so I'm super worried at a macro view. But in the near term, I think there's just so much opportunity if you just need to figure out how to use this and unlock value. So many people don't know how to do it. I have yet to meet a board member that's really engaged in AI. I met one college president that's talked to me about it. And so the folks that are in the corner offices making the key decisions, they're not involved in this at all. And that to me totally reminds me of social media in 2007 and 2008. When we knew what was going on, we could tell what was coming, and leadership had no clue. And so I'm still an optimist in the near term. As an employer myself, I am thinking about it. The way I think about it, though, entirely is how do I free up my team's time? How do I help my team not be burned out? How do I increase their bandwidth? Transparently, sure, if I could free their bandwidth and they could take on more work and that improves my margin as a business owner, great. But like, I'm not looking at all of like, how can I use AI to like eliminate a department and not do that anymore? I think anyone who has that mindset's going to be disappointed. And like, AI still hallucinates. There's still, in my opinion, too much inconsistency and instability to fully replace. But we are at a place where it's good enough where like you could run it in parallel to your team and see how it's doing. And so it's close. It's not there yet. I mean, great question. I feel like I barely answered, but like it's a real fluid thing. And so it's a really interesting thing.
Hey, it's Mallory. Quick thought. What if your team didn't have to worry about what's getting missed after hours? What if your campaigns kept moving, your segmentation kept updating, and your students kept getting support while your team focused on the big stuff? That's what a digital workforce makes possible. Element 451 is helping marketing teams rethink how work gets done and who's helping it get done. See Bolt Agents, the digital workforce for higher ed marketers, live at the Engage Summit this June. Register at enrollify.org/engage and use the code ENGAGE50 for $50 off. All right, back to the show. Let's pivot for a sec. Is anything impressing you right now?
Yeah, lots of things all the time. The world is full of amazing, beautiful things that are impressive. I am so impressed at my team's ability to adapt to AI and go from being like AI skeptics to being AI adopters. It takes a level of vulnerability to lean into something when you're not an expert and still be okay with it. Like that impresses me a lot. President of Concordia University Irvine super impresses me. Michael Thomas, he's such a forward-thinking leader, super dynamic, really just impressed with how he's leading that organization. My wife impresses me, being pregnant. She's just so strong and so smart and talented and incredible, and she's a rock and just wonderful. You impress me. I love having friends like you that inspire me and make me feel really like I'm in the place I'm supposed to be, surrounded by people who care about me. And then from a very tactical, probably more along the lines of what you're looking for, my favorite tool right now is not an AI tool. It's just a simple tool called Whisperflow. And if you don't use Whisperflow, it's WISPR. You just put the button on your computer and it takes voice to text and it drops it anywhere you place your cursor. And this is my number one tip for the whole show. And I always try to give you one. This is the one. Download Whisperflow. And then what you want to do is you go to ChatGPT and you want to do long form prompts. This is the secret to life. So I go to ChatGPT, I click Whisperflow, and I say, hey, this is Seth Odell. Here's what I'm trying to do. I'm going to ramble for the next 3 to 5 minutes. And then I want you to, out of this, do X, Y, Z. And then I just talk like you and I are talking. And then I let go. And it dumps 1,000 words at ChatGPT because there's pretty much no limit for a prompt. I click enter, and then immediately it kicks it out. Like the problem with prompting is thinking you have to be abbreviated, and you don't. And you don't even have to type it. And so Whisperflow lets you just kind of like, speak free form. And let the text do the rest. My double down tip for that is that I rarely write emails anymore. So if you're a client listening to this, I'm sorry. But I will actually paste client emails in the ChatGPT and then I will long form reply thoughtfully. And I'll say, can you package this up professionally? And I realized the stress that I would get from emails was more trying to be formal. Like, good afternoon, thank you so much, really thought. But like, I didn't stress it up the answer because I'm always down to like, let's get in the weeds, let's talk strategy, what are you concerned about or what's happening? And I realized that like I had outsourced the formality of my email messaging to ChatGPT, and it's made me love email again. And so that's another little one too.
My favorite thing, Seth, is to ask you really random open-ended questions and just see where you take it. And legit, the last 2.5 minutes is probably the 2.5 minutes I'm going to clip and post everywhere because that was gold. All right, I'm going to give you one more before we wrap up. Okay. What is something that this summer higher ed marketers need to stop doing?
The number one thing that higher ed marketers need to stop doing this summer. Oh my.
I finally stumped Seth Odell. No.
I think people need to accept the constraints of the games they're playing or choose to play a different game. All too often, I think people will they'll complain about something going on in their institution and you know what's going on? It's because your president doesn't agree or your board's not supported or the institution is the structure of the institution is in a certain form or fashion when that's just going to happen. And so we just have to accept these things, not accept them morally or from a value perspective or say that we endorse them, but accept them in the sense that we have to level our expectations to meet the rules of the game we're playing, or else we're not going to have the stamina to stick in the arena and keep playing. And so I think people need to step back and be like, this is the reality that we're in. And if you want to switch games, that's fine. Go play somewhere else. But otherwise, like, don't apply this pressure to yourself where you're not going to be okay or safe or secure or happy until you get to this place that you may not be able to get to based on the constraints of the organization you're in or where you are in the industry. So if anyone can decipher that, there's something in there that I really meant to say.
I love it. All right, friends. Well, this one went by way too fast. I am sure the download numbers are going to jump 10x just because Seth's back. It was so much fun, Seth. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me. And I have something for listeners that have made it this far. And Mallory, I have something for you. For listeners, I want you to know that I am passing a folded paper crane across the table to Mallory right now. And that, Mallory, is a paper crane from me to you.
The mic's in front of my mouth. I forgot how to, I have no words. Guys, I'm literally holding a paper crane. You know, when we started this, like when I hit record, I was like, nah, girl, you're not going to ask him about the paper crane. The bit is old. I'm taking a photo and putting it on LinkedIn. This will be the photo. I'm not putting a photo of you on the card for this. I am putting a photo of this amazing paper crane. Yeah. Oh my God. I just got to get back to New York without it getting crushed in my... Put it in a glass box and put it on the mantle.
Exactly. That is paper crane number 001. This initiative is 1,000 paper cranes. I may or may not have 999 left to go, but the horse is out of the stable.
I was going to say some shit to close this out, and I'm not now. We're ending on the paper crane, friends. Yeah. We have... Shut the podcast down. I don't even know what to do. I am stunned, speechless, in awe. I might cry.
It's pretty good, too.
It's really good. It's really good. If someone's still listening right now, holy shit. Well, and there it goes. Catch you next week. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Higher Ed Pulse. The show is a proud member of the Enrollify Network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow, so be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit Enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.